Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Yeah, so in today's episode, we're going to be reacting to a video of a black man who talks about his experience working in a psych ward as a black man in America. Yeah, and it is one particular incident that really stuck with him, and it was of a black woman who was brought in, and she was alleging that the FBI was watching her and they were after her, right? But guys, we don't want to talk a lot. We just want you to watch this video and listen to what he has to say. And if you have anything to say, kindly leave it on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch and then we come back and talk about it.
Imagine being locked in a psych facility because you think the FBI is after you. And everyone thinks you're crazy, but it turns out you're actually telling the truth. This is one of the most bizarre psych stories that I've lived to experience, where a woman came into our ward with delusions of grandeur, allegedly, after believing the FBI was after her and using multiple tactics in order to capture her. Now in psych, we are not strangers to people coming in with all types of claims that the higher ups or the powers that be are after them. Matter of fact, the most common ones are the FBI, the CIA, the police, the government, the Secret Service, aliens, angels, demons, like all of these things. So as you can imagine, when I'm doing her intake assessment, I'm listening to what she's saying and all of the events that led up to her being here. And it sounds like a thought salad, but here's how I get down. I don't prejudge people. I let them talk about what their experience is as it is, without like the faces of or like doubtful responses. Now, I don't confirm the things in which they're saying. I just allow the space for them to speak it comfortably. Because a lot of times, if you listen, you can catch patterns and maybe be able to circle around an event where the trauma has started and initiated this way of thinking, or where the central location is. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. Just a little background on this woman. She ended up getting arrested because she lifted up a shotgun and shot it across the street into her neighbor's front door. It was a married couple who was not home, thank goodness, but she claimed that they were spies and that she would catch them spying on her and believe that they were after her. A very scary thing to think about because you can't choose your neighbors. This woman is disheveled, bug-eyed. You can clearly tell she has not been getting any sleep, which is a huge contributor to psychosis. She was very dehydrated, spit forming in the corners of her mouth, but she said she was relieved to be in the facility and maybe it will give her more time. That's what she kept referencing. Maybe I will get more time. But she was adamant about the fact that the FBI was after her. So I'm writing these things down. I'm going and sharing it with staff and they're like, wow, ain't like it ain't nothing we ain't heard before, but that shotgun, that's crazy. She's with us for a few days and then one day the unthinkable, the unimaginable happens. We were a locked facility that was located on a separate floor than all the units, so you had to get through 2 doors before you get onto the psych ward. 2 men in suits and sunglasses, I kid you not, y'all, come up to the door, ring the bell. The nurses looking at each other, we looking at each other like, who could this be? Is this like religious services coming up to pray for patients? Or is there somebody that got visiting days wrong or visiting times wrong? Because it definitely wasn't visiting hours. We're all looking at the camera in bewilderment, and then the charge nurse goes out to greet the men at the door. All right. And so we're watching her talk to them, which feels like maybe, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half. And then she brings them in onto the unit. I'm like, oh, maybe these are the bigwigs, some CEOs that have come to do a random inspection of our hospital and, you know, how things are going. But as the charge nurse comes back to the nurse's station, she's telling us that we need to pull the patient's chart that, you know, we had for a few days, the one with delusions of grandeur about the FBI being after her, right? And we need to wipe her stuff from the system. What? So we're like, what are you talking about? She said, I can't answer any of that right now. Please, guys, just follow this. And so we're all looking at each other like, what in the world? So we pull the chart and she goes to the room to grab the patient. She packs up her belongings, which wasn't much, and then she says, hey, you have to go. At this point, it's like the lady understands what's going on, and she has this catatonic look on her face. She looks defeated, and she's just like, I told you guys, I told you. And these 2 men escort her off of the unit with her chart. And to add even more context, the charge nurse didn't just do this under her own volition, because this could be anybody. You got to protect patients. I'm sure y'all got 1,000 questions, just as I did. She called the doctor, the psychiatrist, the social, like everybody was in on this, and these guys showed their badge. And where were they from? The FBI. Never in my days have I seen anything like this. And we were all spooked and freaked out, but we weren't allowed to know anything about what they were doing with her, why they were taking her in, and after bringing in everybody that is anybody in the hospital that could have something to say about this, all they can recognize is that these men had clearance to do exactly what they came to do. We weren't allowed to know what business they had with this woman. We weren't allowed to know the connection and anything like that. The best thing that we could leave with was that maybe it had something to do with her shooting that shotgun into her neighbor's door. But usually that will be a police matter, and the police brought her to the psych ward. I don't know, y'all. I've never had a situation like that ever happen to me in all my years that I worked in psych. What would you do in this situation? And how would that change the outlook on patient delusions that are reported to you? Would you give pause? Or would there be any pause to give? Because if you knew that it was true, could you do anything about it? Is there anything that could have been done? What do y'all think? Let me know. This is a crazy one.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. And one thing I have to say is that, it speaks volumes when someone is brought into a psych ward and they say they'd rather live in that psychiatric ward than be in their own homes, because according to them, it's giving them more time. You understand? Right. And, for someone to just insist that, especially the neighbor who you live, if you're living in a neighborhood where someone is up on your business, you'll know. Let alone someone who is studying your every move. Right. But this reminds me of that movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And this, okay, I don't mean to base real-time life events on movies, but that's just where my mind went. And you might be thinking you're living with your neighbor is someone normal, you understand? But when they're not normal, it's only you alone who is going to know. But again, I also don't blame the officers and the officers who took her to the psych ward or the people who received her, because when you hear this kind of stories, they always tend to seem crazy, Right. You usually don't think that it can happen to you who is a normal person, or perhaps maybe she wasn't a normal person. Who knows what her deal with the FBI was. Right. But for them to come and even erase her records from that clinic, it's something that leaves questions. Yeah. I think this makes me think that she might have been part of the FBI, or she might have been part of the top clearance government, those kind of jobs they do, and there's something valuable she knew that they needed from her, or they meant to keep quiet. Yeah, they meant her to keep quiet, and maybe she might have not even known that she has something of value that they were looking for. No, I believe she did, because for her to even to be aware that she was being followed by the FBI, I feel like she also did something. Not she necessarily did something, but she knew she was a person of interest when it came to the agency. I mean, I don't know, guys. This is one of those very interesting, what is it called, conspiracy theories that I'd really want to hear your perspective, because she came in there looking like a mad person, insisting that the authority was after her. But at the end of it all, it all turned out to be true, because even the medical personnel, they were shocked when the FBI just casually came in and got her and cleared all her medical, records, and they were trying to keep it secret, and they were trying to erase any physical evidence of her being there, and the fact that the doctors could not, they even brought high clearance doctors from the institution. The fact that they could not help her, or they could not prevent it, means these people had that much power, you understand? Right. So guys, I mean, I don't know, you let us know what situation can warrant someone to be taken and all the records of her existence in a particular institute to be cleared like that, because I don't know, even would terrorists no, I think it's just one of those cases where they want her to disappear. Or she might have been part of the agency. You never know. But how can she be part of the agency and she doesn't want to go back, or she doesn't? It happens. It happens. We only see this in movies, but in real life we never get to see this kind of situations. But also, again, you guys, conspiracy theorists would come and say, but no, this is not even a case of conspiration, because what would they be wanting from her as her alone, as an individual? Exactly, as an individual. I think it's something much more than that. And the fact that it happened to be true at the very end, I feel like this was a serious case that the public does not even know about.
Right, they wanted to stay quiet.
Right. I don't know, guys, let us know what you think about this in the comment section. We'd really love to hear from you. And also, one question I want to ask you guys is, have you ever witnessed such a situation? Like those who are familiar,
Like in real life, not you've seen a movie or something like that. In real life, have you ever witnessed such a situation or heard of such a situation?
Right, and those people who've worked on law enforcement, right? I believe that those ones who are related to or have directly worked in law enforcement, that maybe you are found in such a situation where you had to go on missions and hunt down individuals in this manner, like follow them up, you know, silently until it became obvious to them, and now you had to apprehend them or take them into custody, you know. So guys, let us know in what situation warrants this type of
treatment.
Exactly. Anyway, we want to thank you so much for joining our episode. As usual, consider subscribing if you have not, and let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section. Let's catch you on our next.